Hi, everyone. I'm Phil Van Allen, and I create new ways of interacting with artificial intelligence. Today, I want to show you a new thing I've been working on called the multi-personality Gen AI tool. And this includes the physical prompt crafting, which uses this graphic EQ-like device here to adjust the personalities that you're creating. So the idea is you have a standard question like, why is the sky blue? And you have three different personalities that answer this question. So you set them over here, set their names over here. And so the idea here is to have multiple personalities that answer the question that you set, and it forces you to figure out what it is you want answered and how you want it answered from what biases. So in a sense, everyone's concerned about bias in AI. And this is a way to sort of own bias. Like it's impossible really to eliminate all bias, frankly, even in humans. Here we're owning the bias by setting it ourselves. And that comes in the lower interface, which you'll see in a minute. So today we're going to answer the classic question of why is the sky blue? And from three different perspectives. So a scientist, a third grade teacher, and a gonzo journalist. Um, the interface allows you to set different characteristics of each personality. So we have the three personalities here. Um, Scientist, third grade teacher, and Gonzo journalist. And within that, we can choose which model service we want to use. So my default is Olama, which is running locally on the MacBook here. And so then, of course, you could access OpenAI or Anthropic. So we're going to go with Olama. And within Olama, we can then select that, and then we can pick any of the models that I have installed on locally on this machine, which, by the way, is a MacBook Pro M4 with 24 gig of memory. So you'll see it actually runs reasonably quickly. After setting, of course, we don't need an API key here for Olama because it's running locally. But we can set the LLM temperature setting, the amount of creativity. So for scientists, I'm going to set that to zero point 0.2, let's say, just because this should be an accurate response. So without too much fabrication going on. So we can kind of select how much hallucinations we want. And then here we could set the length of the answer. So in this case, I'm going to get about 100 words. Of course, it's never perfectly accurate at exactly 100, but because LLMs just don't work that way. Anyway, so moving on from there, what are some traits of a scientist? So in terms of attitude, style, creativity, and political bent. So for attitude, about kind. And then for style, or scientific. For creativity, we want it to be, let's say, accurate. And political, well, since this is a scientist, let's go in the middle here. We'll go centrist. Um, and then, so what is our purpose? Executive summary sounds good as a default. We want to answer as opposed to summarize or rewrite. We're going to answer this question, why is the sky blue? And then who's the audience? So let's say general audience. All right, so let's go ahead and get the response here from the LLM. And you can see it's in progress. And the model we're running, as we said, is the Gamma 3. Oh, there's the answer. So 100 word executive summary. So I'll post these answers in the post along with this video, so you can read them more carefully. Okay, so let's move on to third grade teacher. So for third grade teacher, sure, we'll use the Olama once again, and then let's say llama as our model. Don't need a key again. And for a teacher, yeah, 50%, that sounds like a good level of creativity. Again, about 100 words to keep this short. Moving on to attitude, for a teacher, um, certainly, let's say humorous here, style, conversational, um, and for creativity, say creative, political. Well, again, it's a teacher, so let's try to stay centrist here, try to be fair. And then from a context, so let's say, so I'm just going to backspace over this default. third grade um, class lecture. And we want an answer. And so we'll click that. And our audience, let's again backspace over, and we'll say third grade students. Okay, great. And you can see here's a sort of summary of the prompt that's going to be sent to the LLM. This is not the exact prompt because I'm doing some processing in the background for more specific stuff, like how to interface correctly with the LLM. So let's get that response. Okay, here we go. Yeah, and that was pretty quick. So here's the third grade answer. So you want to know secret behind the amazing blue sky and so on. You get the idea. I'll post this on the post. Okay, so our third one, Gonzo journalist. Let's let's try DeepSeek. Not sure what the Chinese know about Gonzo journalism, but we'll see. All right, and let's give it plenty of room to experiment. About the same length. Okay, so Gonzo journalist attitude, say humorous, style, say political, creativity, uh, delusional, um, and let's go for a MAGA version of Gonzo. All right, context. So let's put in here magazine article in Rolling Stone, and the task is to answer. Um, and so I'll pick that, and um, and then our audience, say rock and roll readers. Okay, great. So let's get that response. Okay, DeepSeek's a little slower than the other two. Okay. I'm going to show you the physical interface, which is this graphic EQ-like thing here. So each one of these controls the traits over here, as you can see over here on the left. Our first one we're going to set to kind, and our style setting we're going to set to scientific. And then for our next one, for creativity, we're going to set to accurate. There it is. Okay. And then for political, because it's scientist, we're going to set that to centrist. Okay, so to wrap up, we have the multi-personality Gen AI tool, which is using this physical prompt system to control the personalities. And so we ask the question or insert our text that we want to have rewritten. We give names to our different perspectives, our different personalities, and then we set all the characteristics. So we have our three personalities here, and we can have different language models running for each one. And we're in this case, I'm showing how to use the Olama built-in large language model on my laptop here, which means we can run locally. We don't depend on any cloud services and use all the electricity that they use. Okay, so and then beyond that, we are setting sort of traits of each personality we're building here. Again, using the physical interface. And the physical interface, the benefit of that is that AI tends to be so sort of abstract and disconnected from human day to day. But so giving it a physical interface means that you can sort of touch the AI in a way, in a more meaningful way than just typing in a prompt. And then down to context, who's it for? What is it for? What's the outcome? Um, and then what is it? We're answering a question, or we're asking for a rewrite or a summary and bullets or prose. Who's the audience? So a key question for a large language model to answer. So how can it direct the response to, and who's it for? In this case, so So right. Um, so again, the idea is multiple personalities sort of own the bias that's being generated by these responses, which are can never be completely bias free. That's impossible, really. Just as people can never be completely bias free. All right. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you in the comments.